Toyota and their quality line of 1992 cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Advil, advanced medicine for pain. And by Dean Witter. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time.
You've been watching the World Series on CBS Sports, the home of baseball's biggest game. Everything's bigger in the World Series. Just ask Scott Layett. If he wasn't a household name today, folks, tomorrow, to Twins fans, he is the biggest name in the game. Thanks to him and to Rick Aguilera, Minnesota has swept 2 at home, and this show now switches to Atlanta. Great Scott, we'll see you Tuesday night in Georgia. Good night, everybody.
These unofficial moments in our national pastime are brought to you by the official airline of Major League Baseball, United. Come fly the friendly skies.
When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
Who guarantees overnight air delivery on Saturday to more people coast to coast?
Morning. UPS on Saturday?
Who did you think?
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Dalforth, your graphites are here.
Who guarantees overnight air delivery on Saturday to more people coast to coast?
Thank you.
Who did you think?
UPS on Saturday?
Hello?
Who's that, honey?
It's TCF. They want to know what to give people over 50.
Tell them free checking with interest. Free checks, credit card protection, maybe travel discounts, and travel insurance.
Did you get all that?
And a Harley. Vroom, vroom, vroom.
They'll go for everything but the motorcycle.
Club 50 from TCF. Banking the way you want it.
From WCCO Television, this is a special World Series edition of the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
The banner headline on the World Series tonight, lay us to rest, Braves lose second.
Another headline coming up, Herbig pulls one off, commits mayhem on the base pad.
And another headline, fans go batty with Minnesota Magic.
And we're bringing you all the news live from the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, where you just watched the Twins smack the Atlanta Braves 3-2. Fans are leaving, pouring out of the Metrodome, and they are jubilant, and they're shouting 4 in a row. Sweet time in Atlanta.
Indeed, and welcome to this World Series edition of the 10 o'clock news. I'm Colleen Needles.
And I'm Don Shelby, and we're going to have a lot of other news as well, including a possible hostage release on the horizon. There's also a terrible fire going on out in California.
But first, we're going to deal with the subject at hand, and that is this wonderful Game 2 of the series. Mike Walsher is again here to give us the fan on the street reaction. Oh, they've got quite a bit of reaction tonight. And Trish Van Pilsen is taking your calls along with our phone fan staff back in the studio. That number to call is 330-2764. If you have comments or questions about the game, 330-2764.
All right, now it is time to go inside, where Mark Rosen is standing by with all of the highlights of tonight's game. Mark?
Well, Don, the Twins have done it all year. They continue to do it against the Atlanta Braves, and it's not just the guys that you hear about all season like Puckett and Herbig and Chili Davis, although Davis did it tonight. Last night it was Greg Gagne who did it, hitting in the number 9 spot, and tonight it was Scott Layett with his dramatic home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to win it for Minnesota. This game had a little bit of everything, and it was just a tremendous World Series game. And I think what happened is we talked about the controversial play, which has been rehashed all night by the CBS announcers, is worth taking another look at. The Twins were up 2-1. This was a key point, and we call this our paths of glory, and it certainly was a source of controversy over at first base with umpire Drew Coble. Ron Gant singled to left. This in the 3rd inning, Twins up 2-1. Now Dan Gladden's relay went 7-1. This is the pitcher Tapani over to Herbig. Now, Gant was on, but in the eyes of the umpire, Drew Coble, you must have complete control. Well, he said Gant did not. Here's another look at it. And Herbeck just continued to put the pressure on with that glove. And in the eyes of Coble, Gant was out. They would have had runners on first and third with only one out. A key point in the game, and one I'm sure all the Atlanta media will be discussing as the night progresses. Well, still, you needed to have that great pitching. And throughout the American League Championship Series, just only Jack Morris of the Big Three was really in command. He went 2-0 and, of course, won Game 1. Meanwhile, Kevin Tapani and Scott Erickson have been struggling, but not tonight. Kevin Tapani pitched like he did for most of the season, and he was the king of the hill, especially in a very crucial situation. Eighth inning, the score still tied at 2-all. First and third, only one out. First, he got Ron Gant to pop up, and then got the always dangerous Dave Justice to fly to Dan Glad in left. It was a 3-2 pitch. This got the Twins out of a tremendous jam and enabled the Twins to go on to win it. How they do it, we all know by now, but what is it with these Italian third basemen, the Minnesota Twins? They love to call themselves the Italian Connection. Mike Pagliarulo hitting the game-winning home run in Toronto a week ago Friday, and the man he alternates with at third base, Scott Leyes, doing it tonight. The first pitch, this isn't supposed to happen. Tom Glavine, and this became our home plate special. Tom Glavine was mowing him down and allowed only one hit since Davis's two-run home run in the first inning. And on the first pitch, Scott Leyes, who hit only 5 home runs all year, hit the shot heard round the Twin Cities tonight, and that made it 3-2, and Rick Aguilera came on to strike out the side in the top of the ninth. And as we go back to Don and Colleen, one other item here. Scott Leyes grew up with a pretty good buddy of his. His name is Matt Dillon. Not a bad actor. Tonight, I think Scott Leyes' name has taken another high step up the ladder over even Matt Dillon in the neighborhood in Jersey. We'll have a lot more coming up a bit later.
You can believe that the folks leaving the Dome tonight are talking about Scott Leyes.
I don't care how many Academy Awards you can win in a lifetime. Matt Dillon never hit a home run in the World Series.
Yeah, I don't think anything matches that. Have you noticed that people seem to be hanging around to savor this Game 2 victory a little more than they were last night? You think that's the weather, or number 2 just feels better?
I think after they're unsure after the first one, they're pretty happy, but the second one does smell something like victory. Yeah.
We're going to find out for sure. We're going to go to Mike Walsher, who is standing by in the crowd to get some reaction from our fans.
Well, that's right. You know, last night some people were leaving in the 8th inning. Tonight, almost nobody left until the final out. And the fans here are near hysterical for the Twins. It's feeling a lot like 1987. Tell me, what was it like when Leyes hit the home run? All right, as you can hear, the people are calling for the brooms and a sweep over the Atlanta Braves. Everybody yelling, sweep, sweep, sweep. That's the scene on the streets outside the Metrodome. Trish Van Tilson has been manning our fan phone lines this evening, and she's been listening to what the fans are calling in talking about. And Trish, what's on their minds?
Mike, it's considerably quieter here, as you can imagine. You know, there are 55,000 people watching at the Dome with you, but there are hundreds of thousands of you watching at home, and we wanted to hear what you thought of the game. Many of you called. Still calling, very excited. Some of you calling just to let us know the Twins won Game 2. We wanted to know how you thought the Twins of 1991 compared to the Twins that played in the World Series in 1987. Many of you said the team is now more experienced and has better pitching. Several of you thought 1987 had more to do with luck than experience and skill. But what was most on your mind tonight was Kent Herbeck's controversial play at first base. Did he or didn't he pull Ron Gant off the base?
He did pull him off the base. It looked to me like he was trying to hold himself from falling, and he didn't throw him off the base. I mean, he just kind of got stuck there.
I'd like to compliment Ken Herbeck. That was a great single-leg takedown. If he would like to go back to high school, he could wrestle for us.
Mr. Gant of Atlanta, his temper tantrum in their dugout was embarrassing. My 6-year-old said, "Mom, look," and I think that's awful. He has a responsibility, and he's paid well enough so that he can control his temper better than that.
Now, for many of you, good sportsmanship extends beyond the players to the network announcers. We got a lot of calls from people who didn't like what they were hearing tonight, people who thought the announcers were biased against the Twins, very critical of Dan Gladden last night, and tonight of Kent Herbeck. Now, a lot of you wondered about the empty seats behind the upper deck, just behind home plate prime seats. They're empty. Well, those seats are reserved for the media, some of whom actually spend the game roaming the Dome, or some of whom never even show up. If you have specific questions about the game and how it was played, keep calling. After the news on Rosen Sports Sunday, we'll put some of those questions to Oakland A's Terry Steinbach. The fan phone number again, 330-2764. And Don, that's it from here.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you've had to say. Of course, we're going to have more all through the rest of the night with Mark Rosen on his usual Sports Sunday program.
Now, again tonight, there were protests by Native Americans over the Atlanta fans' use of the tomahawk chop. And tonight, Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone showed his support before going in to watch the game. Protests earlier in the day drew much smaller crowds. For the other news of the day, we are joined by Amy Marcellus, who is back in the newsroom. Amy.
Well, Colleen, an American hostage may be coming home if a Shiite Muslim kidnap faction keeps its word. That group announcing today it will release either Jesse Turner or Alan Steen within 24 hours. If the report proves accurate, it would be the fourth Westerner to be released since August as the result of an intensive United Nations effort to free all of the Western hostages in Lebanon. In local news, a man from St. Michael, Minnesota, died this weekend in a hunting accident. 43-year-old Larry Lee Anderson died when he was accidentally shot by a companion while pheasant hunting near Milan in west-central Minnesota. Still no arrest tonight in the beating death of a woman working overnight at this Amoco station in the uptown area of Minneapolis. Police say 56-year-old Georgianne Dyson apparently let her attacker in a door that was supposed to be locked after 10 p.m. Dyson lived alone for years at the South Minneapolis home. Still no suspects in the case. In national news, at least 5 people have died and perhaps hundreds of homes have been burned as a brush fire roared through Oakland, California. The flames were pushed by high winds. Oakland's mayor says it's impossible to put a number on casualties and damage while the fire continues to burn. An earthquake measuring 7.1 on the Richter scale has left at least 341 people dead and another 2,000 injured in India. The quake touched off landslides in the Himalayan foothills along India's border with Tibet. And in political news, you're looking at the latest man running for the Democratic presidential nomination. Tom Laughlin made the announcement today in Milwaukee, his hometown. Perhaps he looks familiar. That's because he's the actor who played Billy Jack in several movies.
For a second that I am the... I just go
Kind of a law and order guy. The real-life man is running on a platform of limiting terms in office, national health insurance, and reduced taxes. That's it for the news for now. We're going to go back to Don and Colleen, where all the action is after the game at the Dome.
All right. Thanks, Amy.
One observation that we've noticed is how many souvenir hunters and sellers there are around here. Most of those souvenir sellers have to be licensed by the Major League of Baseball, which licenses everything from T-shirts to the computer games you've been seeing. And now, columnist George Will, consummate Renaissance man and baseball nut, has become the first person to get permission to use the Major League Baseball logo for use on his wedding ring.
No.
Does that mean he actually has a sense of humor?
I find that hard to believe.
I find that hard to believe.
But I also find it hard to believe that he's the first one to get permission. There seem like a lot of other more obvious people.
On a wedding ring?
Someone who plays baseball, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe I just don't know you that well. Would that be something you'd like?
Well, not personally, but he's not the first one I would think of. It's just...
No, certainly not George Will.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, but we're going to be back soon, and here's what's still ahead tonight. In our Minnesota Magic Report, see how all this Twins mania is making people, including George Will, do strange things.
And coming up later, the team mostly ignored today, the Minnesota Vikings. But first of all, the Daily 3 Lotto numbers for tonight. They are 734. 734, your Daily 3 Lotto numbers.
You're watching a special World Series edition of the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
If you're looking for a way to beat those old car blues, your Isuzu dealer's got the right Isuzu for you.
It's the right time for year-end savings on selected 91 Isuzu cars and trucks, like the roomy Isuzu Stylus XS, priced at up to $1,800 off during the Isuzu for You sale.
Info Stylus Pickup Trooper, Rodeo Sue. Your Isuzu dealer's got the right Isuzu for you.
Save on a Stylus at your local Twin Cities Isuzu dealer.
A Attention business flyers. TWA slashes business fares for only $250. Fly nonstop coast to coast and to most of TWA's domestic destinations, connecting to our St. Louis hub. Simply purchase TWA's Business Saver coupons by October 22nd and lock in this low fare for 6 months. For all the details on how you can save on your business travel, call your travel agent or TWA now.
Here in Wayzata, we encourage you to come and take a look. Suburban's just about every model in stock. CK 1500 pickups, Village, value price. Mitsubishi Diamante, Mitsubishi Expo, and Expo LRV. Always a better buy from Wayzata Mitsubishi. The Lexus LS 400, ES 300, and SC 400. Move into the luxury of Lexus. Chevrolet, Geo, Mitsubishi, Lexus, one location. The Wayzata Auto Center, only 1 mile west of 494 on all new 12394.
The Minnesota Magic of the World Series is working its way all across the state. As you might expect, fans are going slightly crazy tonight. All around us, we can hardly hear ourselves
Much
think.
crazier. I think you were right. At first, I didn't believe you, but you are right. This is a much noisier, wilder crowd, and it's going on well past the normal time.
They were chanting behind us. Now they're in their cars honking out on the street. But it's really a great time out here tonight.
Well, we've been showing you all during the playoffs what kind of magic the Twins can do. Bill Hudson's in our studio right now on the upper deck overlooking the fans' phone with tonight's Minnesota Magic piece. What do you got up your sleeve, Bill?
Well, I guess you could say there's nothing quite like a World Series to pull all of us Minnesotans together, to talk the same talk and to feel the same feelings, win or lose. Now, that was apparent today at the first Sunday morning sermon right up to game time. A bit of Minnesota magic is bound to rub off on each one of us. The only real sound to break the crisp morning air was the ringing in our ears.
This ball is going to go.
Knowing that Minnesota was on its way to another world championship, it was a little easier to go jogging. And it was a Sunday morning for special confessions.
Well, I'm one of those fans that gets really excited around the playoffs, so I have to confess. That's my confession for the day.
Even the pipe organ at the Basilica of St. Mary's had a different ring to it today. And as the hours before game time passed, the streets came alive with sights and sounds. Many are desperate for tickets.
You won't get any tickets here. I watched a guy yesterday 6 hours trying to get tickets.
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Lyle Munch doesn't care he can't get in. He's having more fun cruising past the crowd, horn blasting and heads turning to see what's on top of his Ford van.
Just decided that this was the year, so I went ahead and built an 18-foot-long bat.
It's kind of cute. Call it crazy imagination inspired by the magic.
Go Twins!
At Minneapolis Children's Hospital are some youngsters who can't go to the game, but will enjoy it nonetheless with hospital staff or mom and dad. Listen to the game, and for others, like this cabbie, it means parking along a curb and turning up the radio.
Bucket at the ground ball to third.
And with few hotel guests to help, these doormen will feel the thunder in the palm of their hand on a tiny tube.
Uh-oh, it's out. Yeah! Chili Davis, there it goes. Bye-bye, left field seat.
We're good to go.
We're good to go. Now we can the game's over.
Now that particular doorman said he had tickets to tonight's game. However, he couldn't find anybody who worked for him, so he handed the tickets over, Don, to his mom and dad.
Oh, I've heard more stories like that.
This is sweet.
People hand, I think that's great.
It's that Minnesota niceness. We ought to export these stories down to Atlanta when we go down there for the next 3 games coming up. We'll be back right after a break. Just a reminder, if you have a question for Terry Steinbach, give us a call at that fan phone, 330-2764.
Out of a few essentials, this week at Snyder's, soft and gentle bathroom tissue is just 87 cents. Buy one Max Factor cosmetic item at the regular price and get the second item for just 99 cents. And selected Maalox Plus formulas and the Scriptin tablets are just $4.79. So next time you run out of something important, run into Snyder's.
This winter, be prepared. In America's best-selling small car, the front-wheel drive Ford Escort, featuring the all-new 92 Escort sedan, available with automatic overdrive and 35 miles per gallon. Or choose Escort hatchback, wagon, or the sporty GT, all with road-gripping front-wheel drive and over $1,400 in savings. The all-new Ford Escort is prepared for winter. Are you? See your local Northland Ford dealer now during front-wheel drive month.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol, the only leading motor oil that provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. Why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Castrol GTX, available at all 40 big-wheel Rossi Auto Parts stores.
Oh, it was nuts. Absolute chaos. Every day was a different surprise. I can't afford surprises. I have to find something to help me keep this place under control. That's exactly why we got this Honeywell control system. We're more efficient now, conserving raw materials, and turning out a better product. I'm sure we can survive without it. But who just wants to survive?
When people depend on you, depend on Honeywell.
Because the game is in Atlanta Tuesday, you can come down to watch it at the Dome if you want to, with about 40,000 other people. Tell me about this thing now.
Well, we want to tell people first you can get tickets at the Target stores beginning tomorrow and Tuesday at 9:30. And the first 10,000 fans at the Dome is going to get this little number. It's called the 91 Bat Magic Wand.
We got that styrofoam kind of thing, just like the other deal. Matt Balo is here with the weather from the Weather Center. Matt, what should we say? Oh, you want that?
I'd like to see. I'd like to see that one if I could.
We're going to
Yes.
hand you the bat now. There it goes. All the way across.
Well, that's not bad.
It is. The magic of television, Matt.
It is the magic of television, and hopefully this magic wand will work down in Atlanta. Now, of course, they don't have a dome in Atlanta. Weather could be a factor, but it looks like on Tuesday night that it won't be. For Game 3, right now, they're expecting partly cloudy skies. It'll be mild in Atlanta. They should have a temperature around game time of near 70 degrees, and that temperature will be falling to the 60s throughout the game. So again, right now, no rain in the forecast in Atlanta. Here's what we have around the upper Midwest. We have a frontal system up to our north. This front is providing some precipitation. In fact, we've had 1 to 4 inches of snow up in parts of northern Minnesota. There is a snow advisory out tonight across the northern interior counties. That snow, of course, is staying quite a ways away from here. Right now on the Doppler radar, we do have a few scattered sprinkles right now, mainly through central Minnesota. That's moving toward the east. We could see a few sprinkles, but so far, nothing out there. Our high temperature today managed to make it to 56. 31 was the low. Those temperatures very close to the normals, and no rainfall yet. Currently outside, it's cloudy. 54 is our temperature. We have a relative humidity of 36%, a southwest wind at 10, and the barometer's falling. Satellite pictures over the past 24 hours showed of some partly cloudy skies last night, and then swing. Those clouds continued to make their way through North Dakota and back through Minnesota. Right now, as I mentioned, though, we have that frontal system across the states. Swing. And that front right now should not be making its way over us. In fact, it looks like we should stay in the warm section tomorrow, and that's going to mean some warmer weather. Here's the forecast. Mostly cloudy with a few sprinkles possible. 41 for the low, and a south to southwest wind. Swing. Partly cloudy and warmer. We'll have a high of 62 tomorrow, and a southeast wind at 5 to 10. Then swing. Monday night, partly to mostly cloudy, 45 for the low. And for Tuesday, swing. Mostly sunny, it'll be breezy, warmer, 68 for a high. A nice day here Tuesday, a nice day in Atlanta. Cooler through the rest of the week, though. We're looking for highs to drop down into the 40s. By Friday, a chance of rain almost each day. And Don and Colleen, it looks like this magic bat works pretty well here. Hopefully it works so in Atlanta. I mean,
Yeah, we'll take it back now, honey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Swing.
He's gone a little
I think he has gone off the deep end.
batty, maybe.
I heard somebody say he's about 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. We'll be back with other sports news, including the Vikings' dismal day.
Which car should I buy? Plymouth Acclaim. I need automatic. Plymouth Acclaim. Driver's airbag. Yes. A good warranty. You get a choice. Affordable. Less than $12,500. And air conditioning. At no charge. Plymouth Acclaim. Maybe a Plymouth Acclaim. Nice idea.
Plymouth Acclaim, an intelligent machine.
Go to a dealer. Go to a dealer. Go to a dealer. Go to a dealer.
To keep the winter off the years, the lockout wind and rain. To give you joy and light and pride, to comfort you again and again.
Anderson windows and patio doors do a beautiful job of standing up to the weather outside. But their real beauty is the way they make you feel inside.
Come home to quality, come home to Anderson.
In 1989, the kidnapping of an 11-year-old boy shocked and moved Minnesota and the nation. Now, almost 2 years later, the search for Jacob Wetterling continues. Even though he hasn't been found, his mother keeps Jacob's hope alive. Hello, I'm Colleen Needles. Please join me for a conversation with Patty Wetterling. Her family's public tragedy has turned into a story of private courage. Monday night on Channel 4's 10 o'clock news. They broke our hearts today.
Well, look what he's got in the picture. RJ's got the broom for the big sweep. RJ, I thought you were going to be talking about the Vikings, who did just about everything in the world to make us yawn today.
Well, we're going to try to do that. There's really too much action, Don and Colleen, and analysis really to fit into a sportscast, so we urge you to stay tuned for a special series edition of Rosen Sports Sunday coming up live from the Metrodome. We'll get back out there momentarily. Besides the series sights and sounds, we'll have expert analysis from Oakland A's catcher Terry Steinbach, an in-depth look at the Twins pitcher Kevin Tapani, who led his high school to the Michigan football title. And Henry Thomas tries to explain the Vikings' latest loss. Yes, the Vikings welcomed the Twins' trip to the World Series, taking the attention off of them. They figured, well, they could sneak up sort of in the standings and regain that spotlight after the World Series. They may not have to worry about becoming the focal point at all, because today it was sloppy, really. It was a loss, 26-23 to, you got it, the New England Patriots, folks. The Vikings trailed 23-13 final minutes. Rich Gannon hits Anthony Carter. The Vikings pull within 3, but there's only a minute and a half to go. But if Detroit can do it, so can the Vikings. Onside kick. First one failed. Then they touched it too early, so they try it again, and Solomon Wilcox recovers. Now, sloppy play. Claude Rivez tried to tie it in overtime. Rich Gannon completed... He threw 63 passes. Can you believe that today? Completed 35, but nonetheless, it was Steve Jordan coughing up the football. And it's Jason Sorosky with the field goal. He had missed one earlier in overtime, and New England defeats the Vikings 26-23. And the Vikings are in Phoenix next week. Well, San Francisco in the dire need of a win in Detroit. Harry Sidney struck on the Detroit defense. The struggling 49ers were motivated today in a 35-3 win over the Lions. New Orleans goes to 7-0 with that 23-7 win over Tampa Bay. Steve Walsh helped keep the New Orleans Saints unbeaten in that one. Walsh filling in for injured Bobby Hebert, hit Eric Martin for 6, securing the win over the Buccaneers. Phoenix, next Viking foe, beats Atlanta 16-10. AFC Western League goes to Denver 19-16 over Kansas City, and the Jets over winless Indianapolis 17-6. You think of Houston and you think of its high-powered offense, but defense is really helping carry the Oilers. Darrell Lewis intercepts Dan Marino, takes it to the other way to the end zone. Miami still had a chance to win it, trailing by 4 in the final minutes, but Sammy Smith's fumble went into the end zone. Chris Dishman fell on it to secure that win. There you see the other scores around the NFL. Cleveland wins, so does Seattle over Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and we'll be back with more. But right now, we're sending it back to the Metrodome, Don and Colleen.
Sweep.
And we'll be back in just a moment. before we go to Rosen Sports Sunday.
Dodge Dakota Club Cabs come with our powerful new Magnum Series engines, plus $750 cash back. And when you buy the Super LE model, also come with nearly $2,700 in options. A 4-speed automatic, air, and more for no extra charge. Dodge Dakota Club Cabs, a powerful way to rediscover American value.
I'm so serious about work, being a great dad, even tennis. I'm so serious. All I've got is stress.
The Mitchum report shows Americans are under more stress than ever. That's why today you need Mitchum, the antiperspirant so effective you could even skip a day.
Something's got to give, and it's always me. Between work, kids, the house, I'm stressed to the limit.
The Mitchum report shows women are under more stress than ever. That's why today you need Mitchum, the antiperspirant so effective you could even skip a day.
Well, that's going to do it for the second game of the World Series 10 o'clock newscast.
We want to thank you for staying with us, but there is more to come from Mark, who is inside the dome. Meanwhile, out here, the cars continue to honk their horns and have a good time all the way home.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey, which one looks like your beer?
Right here.
That one. This is Budweiser. Here's Coors Extra Gold.
Oh, man, just goes to show you.
58% of Bud drinkers preferred Coors Extra Gold in a recent taste test.
I think they're right. Looks like a better beer.
And guess what else?
What?
Coors Extra Gold was judged best premium lager at the Great American Beer Festival.
I believe that.
Slow brewed for that real beer flavor and color, the way beer was meant to be, which may be why
Gold beats the Bud.
Coors Extra Gold. If you're missing real taste, beer is back.
Well, I'm going to go get some of that stuff.
Your Flex is back.
I started using Flex years ago, but then they changed it. Bad idea. But they got smart and changed it back, and it's better than ever. Good move, Flex. The see-through bottles, the fragrance we love, balsam and silk protein, Flex shine and manageability are back in our hair. Our Flex is back, so we're back to Flex.
It's our 91 model closeout here at Towsley Ford and the Towsley Truck Center. Closeout prices lowest of the year. Huge factory rebates, big factory dealer incentives, and the best selection of Ford low-mileage factory repurchase cars. Look, 91 Taurus GLs well-equipped for as little as $11,495. Help us clear out all the 91s and help yourself to the biggest savings of the year. No matter where you live, it's worth a trip to either location. Towsley Ford and the Towsley Truck Center, Highway 61 here in White Bear Lake.
Something new is coming to your neighborhood. It'll help you learn more about your community than ever before. It all begins Tuesday, October 29th.
The 91 World Series pregame special, Tuesday at 6:30.